Hi, so today, again, October 22nd, 2020, and we are reading on the October series of requests that people have left on the community tab with the jack-o'-lantern quarantine mask. That's the one to look for. I'm enjoying doing these readings. I will get back to the politics. I know that people want that, but I have to have a little bit of a break. Now, we are going to be looking at this reading, at the Huguenots. A request came in by someone who is related to them, and we are going to look at that in this reading. I'm just wanting to find their entry so I can give a little bit more. Okay, Lori, but not that Lori. Wanted to know more about her ancestors, the Huguenots, and anything you can learn. Sorry about the oldest street in America, in New Paltz, New York. My ancestors, hers were the Freer. I think I'm saying that right. Were one of 12 families that fled religious persecution back in the 16 and 1700s from France. They were Protestant, and the very Catholic held power structure in that nation was killing them, so they had to flee. I mean, their numbers were getting, from what I read, just so. They fled, and she says that 5 of the original homes built in their time is still standing today. There's also a church with the family name on the pews. Now, if you haven't gone to Google and looked at this, you should. It's beautiful. You can really, I'd love to go and see it. Beautiful old architecture, and I even managed to find a picture of the Freer house that would be connected to Lori, but not that Lori's family. So without further ado, let's try to focus in on that energy and just see what the universe wants to share, what the cards want to share. I ask my ancestors, and I ask Lori's ancestors to help me to read accurately and clearly upon their family, the Freers. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. It looked like I would be. And the oldest street in America in New Paltz, New York. And on the Huguenots, her family, her connection. So Lori, I'm just going to zone in on you, girl, and I'm going to try to get my helpers to help me link in, okay? Takes me a moment. The Huguenots, New Paltz, New York. What can you or are you willing to share with us, universe? What do we need to know that maybe we don't know about the Huguenots and about New Paltz, New York? What can I share with Lori? What is the story that Lori's ancestors want her to know about? And what do they want to tell us about that area? That historical street, the oldest in America, in New Paltz, New York. What do they want to share? Okay, so the Huguenots, New Paltz, New York, or his ancestors. What do you want to tell us? What do we need to know? Please share. And I ask my spiritual helpers to please make sure I read accurately and clearly. The first card we're getting is a card of hard work over a long period of time where you really have to apply yourself. It's steady. And again, it implies a period of time where you have to put kind of your nose to the grindstone and work really hard. To me, this is escaping the persecution and trying to find a place where you can have a protective boundary around yourself with that Nine of Wands. It is someone who has endured battles and gets to the point where they have to, I feel, get to a place or a position by which they can have a protective boundary around them in order to just deal with life. So we see, to me, this is the long cycle of persecution, of trying to live and being attacked. Honestly, I just is one of the things that bothers me about any kind of Orthodox religion. Just my 2 cents. And I respect other people's beliefs as long as they don't hurt other people. That's, all I gotta say. So let's get back to the reading. Interesting, you get another 9. 9 of Swords. This is about worry. This is trauma. This is anxiety. And to me, this is showing that these people endured what I believe is post-traumatic disorder from constantly having to be hypervigilant and on guard with that 9 of Wands. Then we get the 9 of Swords to accompany it. So this indicates, again, oh yes, by society, and they just are letting us know how very uncomfortable their lives were, to put it mildly. And for a long period of time, they dealt with a great deal of antagonism, attack, not only attack, but murder. And so that anxiety and trauma led them to want to find an environment by which they would be able to protect themselves. They just didn't feel like they could protect themselves in France, it looks like to me. And that would be the understatement of the year, because, yeah, France was very Catholic, and especially then. And they were coming after the Huguenots like nobody's business, as my grandma Asma used to say, like nobody's business. She had an Eastern European accent, and I'm just remembering so much about her. Her inurnment, by the way, for those of you that care, is going to be the 27th, which is my anniversary, my wedding anniversary, my 30th wedding anniversary. But I don't know. I feel good about it. I feel like double blessing. So, here we have the card of mystery, though. Here we have the card of things that are kept quiet, that aren't shared, and are not readily perceptible, things that are kept kind of quiet or secret, straight up. Let's see what that's about. Juicy. Okay, this deals with the law. And I think well, before I open my great big mouth, let me just carry on. Three of Wands and Death. Radical change. I feel like it shows, at the very least, her ancestors are talking about how they were persecuted, and it gets to the point that it looks like then there's a legal call to exterminate, to kill them. The death threat is right there. And to me, this makes them want to look overseas, go elsewhere, beyond. So they're like, we got to get out of here because they're going to kill us. This society is hostile. We got to get a radical change we have to leave our own homeland because we're not going to make it otherwise. So here they go a-wandering with the hermit. But I'm still... There's some secret teachings. There's some... Well, they had to keep it quiet. They were Protestant, and so any teachings that they had, they couldn't be open about it. It would have been a hard go. They may have been even then. Forgive me for not having a better education where this history comes in. I find it fascinating. I love history. A lot of the history I do know is self-taught. Thus, the great public American education system, not of the Midwest and the rural areas especially, where you just learn about America and really little else. At least that was my experience growing up in the 80s, what I was taught. So I'm shown this is them having to keep things that secret and plans secret because there's open hostility and persecution to the point that then it looks to me like they're calling for there's like death and arrest, and they decide we need to get the heck out of here and go abroad, far away, so they can't kill us. This has to do with choices and partnerships and agreements. And so it looks to me like the people don't take long to come to that agreement, given what was going on and the decrees and things like that going on in France. It was time, and Europe, I believe. So they just wanted to save their butts. So they just want to go quietly live and find a place where they can live without worrying that someone's going to order their death. But I'm shown that there was some kind of a delay. And I feel like in that delay, more people suffered, probably died. And I believe the delay comes in by places they were looking to go. They may have had to wait a little bit for where they were going to head off to, for things to be right, so they could do that successfully, somehow, some way. And maybe go to a place where they were beyond the reach of their homeland's grip, extension, for sure. I get a Queen of Wands, a female here. She is very significant. And I feel like Lori, but not that Lori, perhaps one of your ancestors, in that line. She would be possibly a fire sign. And it would be a very charismatic woman, a very warm, maternal, caring, generous, and possibly also talented in means of like entertainment, and that means by singing or acting or music or the arts of some way. I'm picking up on this female. I don't know why, but there you go. I don't know if you know of any great grandmas going back. Great probably. Not really. Great. Yeah, very persecuted is what I'm getting. They didn't like that. They couldn't be happy. They couldn't just go out. What I'm getting is, yeah, they couldn't just go out and enjoy themselves socially. There was no joy, and it's just too depressing. So, plus, who wants to die? Who wants to be treated for heresy? This is heresy here. This is all the methods and means by which they were killing off people, the Huguenots. So, yeah, that's what I get. There may have been a delay for Lori, one of your ancestors, maybe in like one of the two going first with this hermit and the Queen of Wands here. But I feel that they did get away. Yes. And life was much better. 9 of Cups and the Chariot. So they were able to get away and very content. It shows contentment. So that's what they're wanting to show us, was the hardship that pushed them to leave. So we understand it better. I mean, these people, it's like, I'm getting like they couldn't even go out to the market. There was just like, it could not live. It became unlivable. Okay, now let's look at the street. So that's them in France and them having to leave. That marries up. That's what they wanted to share there. Now let's look at the street. We want to look at the freer house and the oldest street in America, New Paltz, New York. So I asked Spirit to help me to relate something we don't know about it, and that I can accurately relate. To Lori, not that Lori, and to others watching. What can you tell us about the oldest street in America? In New York. The Huguenot area district. The houses, the architecture is amazing. I love architecture and old homes. And what can you tell us about that area, that street? Okay. Now, New Paltz came about as a result of Huguenots working, negotiating with the Esopus Lenape indigenous people of Delaware. That's how they ended up, or the Delaware. That's how they ended up getting where they could, how they could live there, how they ended up there. So it's 7 stone houses, okay, this historic area in New Paltz, New York, which is approximately 90 minutes north of New York City. And it's 7 stone houses and several accompanying structures in the 10-acre National Landmark Historic District. Built in the early 18th century by Huguenot settlers. And they were, as I read earlier, they're fleeing religious discrimination, but murder in what is now southern Belgium. So they, like I said, it says they negotiated, after negotiating with the Esopus Indians, this small group of Huguenots settled on a flat rise on the banks of the Wallkill River in 1678. And the settlers named the site in honor of Paltz. Okay? Which is a German Palatinate. Anyways. Because they had provided them temporary refuge before they came to America. And it's one of the oldest continually inhabited settlements in the United States, because before it was inhabited by them, the indigenous people were there, and it says they negotiated with the Esopus Indians, who it says were of the Lenape, the Delaware tribe, in what is now upstate New York. The Lenape originally resided in the Delaware River Valley before their territory extended into parts of modern-day New York, including the Catskill Mountains and Lower Hudson River Valley, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and eastern Delaware. So the Esopus people spoke an Algonquin dialect known as Muncie. Okay, there's a little history. Cool, eh? So now we're gonna pop to this time period. and that street. And we're going to ask Spirit to tell us something about it that we don't know. Sometimes they still tell us what we do know, but we'll just see what the tarot has to say. And again, I did take my antihistamines. It's just everybody's suffering here, including the cat. There's a lot of things pollinating year round here. So let's focus in on that. So let's see what we get. What can they tell us about this oldest street in America? Okay, we get the Two of Wands. The Star. The Six of Wands. And the Six of Cups. Well, I do believe we are tracking. Oopsie. First off, we get this establishment. I feel like of a place to live. Okay, there's a feeling that they have finally got a place where they can begin to thrive and grow and establish their lives and have opportunity to make choices and there's so much hope here. There's so much hope. They went through so much. So I see a great deal of I get resilience of the resilience of the people. The energy is there, and their optimism. And this is recognition. Sometimes this can be an ego card, but not in this case. And we have the repetition of two sixes. And it's about the past, and it's about children. And to me, with that Six of Wands, this is where their children can have opportunities to have a better life, literally. There's a more opportunity here. It's screaming opportunity, and I feel like there's a sense of gratitude, and really the hope there was on the future and with children. There is the energy, and there is a proud family, strong family connection. That place, those families too, because this is a family card and it deals with children and generations in the past, and they did well for themselves. I think many of the families must have done pretty well for themselves, or they felt that they did. Certainly comparable to what would have been the case had they stayed in their homeland. Many of them would have died. I don't know if they... Anyhow, what I'm getting is there's just a really positive sense of peace and hope and ambition. They have ambition, especially, I'm sorry, with these two cards, the Star and the Six of Wands, to be a success and to do well amongst each other. And I think they were really, really happy to have that. So there's a great deal of gratitude I'm picking up of the energy of that neighborhood. And excitement, creativity, hope. I'm getting some very good vibes. Inspiration. A lot of inspiration. Ooh, but this one doesn't look good. This is the 3. Interesting, we go from the 2 of Wands. Oh, sorry. Oh, never mind. The 3 of Swords. I was thinking, never mind. I was thinking Wands because of the stake in this imagery that was used. But this is Swords. This is the heartbreak, too, I think, of being separated from their homeland. So there's some heartbreak and tears and suffering and separation. And I'm sure that they must have been homesick to some degree for certain things. So I feel like there was certain, I don't know. I believe they may have had things sent over for some reason, but let me see the rest of the cards. I get a King of Wands, and he became well known, this man. We get the card of fame. Okay. Fire sign, anyone? Yes, a father figure with the Emperor. And we get the Hermit. He gets, I don't know if he, I feel like this man ends up somehow a bit alone. A widower, maybe his wife may have left him. But there's this pain, there's a sense of separation, and he's on his own. He was established, somebody that was established in that area. They're pointing toward that. But a bit of a loner. There's children. And definitely an ancestor, but well known. A lot of pain around him, heartbreak. Really had to make his own way. Nonconformist. Okay. And quite possibly betrayed too by somebody. Here we get law, we get justice. Perhaps this is legal protection. We get the Moon. I feel like this man haunts this area. I wasn't going to just come out and say that, but now I've got to. I feel like this man haunts this area. Now, I am not familiar with this area. And it's wonderful that I don't know, because you guys who are familiar can let me know who you might think it might be. He haunts it. There's a protective sense of it too. I get a sense that he guards it. His spirit is walking the neighborhood. Kind of guardian. Yeah. It is a very valuable historic piece of land. I hate to refer to land in like that, but it is unusual for its rich history and structure that shows up in this and nonconformist way of thinking for many people that settled there in that area. It attracts that energy. And people who are motivated to learn and better themselves. There's a real sense of perfectionism and artisan craftsmanship. They have a high degree of, I feel like, skill and taste in certain areas. There's something about this being important. And this man's family became wealthy, became well established there. May have even gone on to local government. And look at that. It's interesting that we get the card of the Hierophant of religion. Now, traditionally, Catholicism is depicted, but we get the card also here of the nonconformist, where conformity is the name of the game, with the Hierophant. Nonconformity, once again echoed here in the Hermit. Free thinker. So what I see here is also a very independent nature. These people do not want some figurehead telling them that they have to believe a certain way. But yet, they kind of are in just a different tradition. But here, to me, they have the ability to escape legal religious persecution that was happening in France, and be free to live their religious belief system, to be able to thrive and do well. Very, very motivated. But there is haunting energy around that area. It's old, and there's that continual habitation puts layers of energy in. I do feel like there's a strong male figure that does walk that area, haunt that area, has been seen. It's really interesting. The energy of the land itself doesn't, and because of the people of the area, the land wants free thinkers. That it's become kind of saturated. This the tradition is non-tradition, is thinking for yourself and being motivated to live well and help your community. And to remember where you came from. That energy is still very heavily there, very haunted. And I'm feeling like, especially by male authority figures that were the fathers and the husbands, and them especially, their energy's very prevalent there. I don't know why I'm not seeing as much of the women, but there is in particularly a King of Wands, a fire sign, a fiery type. I think involved very much probably in the local government that it would have ended up occurring. And he did very well, very well. His family became wealthy. And my sense of why is he haunting, it's like, why is he haunting? They don't want any kind, they want to preserve it. This is to me like new building, new growth, some that maybe isn't well thought out, that might be a bit reckless, that might be a bit too risky. He's protective of it. Yes, and here's the Tower and the Seven of Cups. To me, it is the... There's also a very great deal of creative energy there. They knew what it was like to lose a place, a safe place to live, and they had to take high risks to leave, to create a new life. But I think they also, wherein this oldest street in America is concerned, they don't want it, there's a protective spirit there. They don't want it being disturbed, destroyed, altered by somebody that's not really thinking long term, not really aware of its importance and integrity. Some bonehead that wants to develop land. And it could be even people that have inherited. I get a King of Pentacles and a Four of Cups. So I'm getting somebody that's wealthy, but who isn't quite happy. And I'm feeling like this could be somebody present day. I'm feeling like some people there who might hold some of that. Well, it's historic. It's a park. They're not going to be able to. But I feel like there's a protective vision and that they have to hold for that land, that place. It's protected. It is protected by a masculine, very masculine energy. And most certainly I get a King of Pentacles and I get a King of Wands. So there you go. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. Let me know. Hit the like button, subscribe, and notification. Thank you ever so much. I'm sorry this reading went on a bit longer, but I'm doing my best.